Welcome to the 43rd SCCA Runoffs. Last year in Formula V, it was a classic battle at Mid-Ohio. Let's just count the lead changes between Brad Stout, Jeff Lohead, and Bob Neumeister. Throughout the competition, these three swapped the top spot lap after lap. Each one taking turns at the front. Sure, there was the occasional spin like Colin Cross, but back up front, guess what? Yep, you guessed it, more lead changes back and forth. Each time down the straightaway, you could count that there would be at least one or two lead changes throughout. Takahisa Yamaoka and Jonathan Weisheit, they get tangled up at the end of the straightaway, go off into the gravel, but back up to the front. Yep, the lead changes, they continue back and forth all the way to the end. On the final lap, Stout gets by one last time to get to the checkers, and he takes his fourth Formula V national title. Formula V is certainly not the most powerful or the fastest class in the Sports Car Club of America, but for years they've been known as having some of the most intense competition and the deepest fields. This year should be no different. Brad Stout looking for his fifth national championship. That would tie him with Bill Noble for the record in the class. Also looking for the Triple Crown. Steve Oseth, a former Formula V national champion, looking for another win as well, but it's been 3 months since he's been in the car. He's been recovering from a crash he sustained on the highway. And don't forget Bob Neumeister looking for his first national championship. He's won every national he's entered this year, including one here at Heartland Park.
Well, Formula V, without question, one of the most competitive forms of racing we'll see today. Several past national champions involved here. Now, the Northeast Division champion is Jim Carney. Now, Jim comes in with 3 wins so far this year, but he's never won the runoffs. He's finished second, he's finished third, and he's finished fourth. He'd like to get his first win. Now, Jeff Lohead, he has won the national championships before. In fact, he was the 04 national champion, and he was runner-up last year. He wants his championship back. Stephen Davis, 2-time national champion, once in 1987, once in 92. He's got a good car, he's a good driver. These guys will be tough to beat today.
The 2006 SCCA National Championship Runoffs is the goal of many competitors in the Sports Car Club of America. They compete all season long for the right to be here. They will finish the season the way they started it. Asking no quarter, giving no quarter. All in the battle for the title of National Champion. Up next, the drafting wizardry of Formula V. Welcome to Heartland Park, Topeka, Kansas, the home of the SCCA Runoffs for 2006. This is the first year for the runoffs here in Topeka, and to many drivers, their first time on this track. Formula V should be awesome. See clouds in the distance, a lot of moisture still in the air. We've had rain on and off today. Hopefully we will have a dry track. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Till along with Dorsey Schrader, John Bizignano. Jim Trado will be down in pit lane for you today. Dorsey, kind of a wet and dry situation out there on the racetrack. What do these drivers face?
Well, you got a 2.5-mile racetrack, Brian, with 14 corners. The front straightaway used to come on the drag strip here at Heartland Park. They've changed all that. This new area, the start-finish line just past that narrows down, and a big, much wider opening into turn 1 and 2. It's very slippery, Brian. The racetrack surface is horrible. Watch for passing and congestion in turn 6 and 8 as well.
Well, in Formula V, we talk about it not being fast or powerful, but it is awesome to watch.
Single-seat race car, open-wheel race car. It's a Volkswagen 1200cc engine in the back, front axle out of a Volkswagen, and then the aerodynamics that play such a part in drafting. Now, 1,700-foot front straightaway, drafting will be important. It will work here.
I was going to say, they don't go fast, but the one thing they do well is drafting, and we'll see plenty of it. For more from the pits, John Bizignano.
Well, keep your eye on that number 7 car, Lisa Noble. She is carrying the Noble name forward in this race. 36 cars starting this race, and she got more congratulations than anyone else in this Formula V lineup. She is looking for her best finish ever. She hopes to be on the podium. They said that they have a brand new motor in that car and they have the power to go ahead. Her daughter came up to her and said, "Mom, rip their hearts out." Okay, for another story a little bit further down the pit lane here, to my pit partner, Jim Trado.
And Bez, another interesting story here in Formula V is Cheryl Gilbert. She towed in from the state of Washington with herself, her race car, and her pug Oliver. Oliver's been the crew chief all week. Now, Cheryl said, "My dad told me if I wanted to go racing, I had to do it myself." So she's been her crew chief. She's not taking direction from her dad. Oliver, you're the crew chief. What are your secrets? Well, her dad is a two-time Runoffs champion, so Cheryl may be listening to more than just that on her radio. She's rolling off 33rd, trying to improve and maybe get her own championship with her crew chief.
Oh, that's great, Jim. Cheryl, she's done it all by herself this week, and I asked her dad, Mike, I said, will she listen to you? And he said, absolutely no, she hasn't. So we'll see how that works out, and we'll see how Formula V turns out when we come back to the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. The Formula V SCCA National Championship Runoffs from Heartland Park to Topeka, Kansas. And this will be a good one today. 41 cars have taken times. And in the field, 15 national championships between 6 different national championship drivers. So there is a lot of talent out there, Dorsey.
Tons of talent, and these cars have to work well with one another to be able to win. You saw that from last year. The drafting that happens occurs every straightaway. Every time you get to a straightaway, there will be a lead change.
Steve Oseth on the pole, a former national champion. But interesting, as we said in the open, he has not been in the car in 3 months, and that's going to be an issue.
No, it's an issue. Next, Bob Neumeister, and that's Jeff Lowhead. I said Loghead at the beginning. Sorry, Jeff, he corrected me. It is Lowhead, and he's done a great job. Lisa Noble, like you talked about, in 5th. Next to the Brad Stout, of course, the reigning national champion.
Look through the second 10. Roger Siebenaller, he's a former national champion as well. Jim Kearney, a division champion, as is Brian McCarthy and Jim Rainey. So a lot of talent in this second 10. And with the draft, these cars, hey, you could start 10th, 12th, and move your way up.
You can. Look back in 28, 00. That's Bill Noble, legendary engine builder. Probably builds half the engines in this field. And, of course, the husband to Lisa Noble, who's up there, done such a good job in qualifying.
And Bill Noble holds the record, 5 national championships in Formula V for Bill Noble. Brad Stout, we'll see if he can make it 5 today. Look on through the rest of the field. There's talent back here as well. In the 35th spot, Charles Turner. He's the Southern Pacific Division champion, so certainly he knows how to mash the gas. Just didn't qualify as well as he wanted to. Take a look at the last 4 on the grid. These guys lining up in the start. Might seem a little bit slow. They don't get off the line too quickly, but the racing will be great, Jim.
And Brian, when we talk about Formula V on a national level, you cannot leave out Roger Siebenaller. Car number 2 will start 12th today. He was perhaps hoping for a bit of wet conditions because he's really good in the wet. He's only 1.3 seconds off pole back in 12th. He is going to be a contender. Biz?
Well, the word affordable doesn't come around too often in motor racing, but in Formula V, you can actually use it. A new car, well, maybe $15,000, but there's plenty of used cars that can still go very fast that are for sale at the end of every season, that is. Now, a whole season, maybe between $6,000 and $7,000. You get one engine built in there. The most expensive thing is rebuilding the car if you have an accident. And you got to have good tires on these cars. It's so competitive now that you've got to buy new tires about every 3 races. And of course, that's still economical racing. So maybe for $7,000 or $8,000 a year, you can actually have a setup that will get you to these championships.
Well, Biz, speaking of tires, there's a bit of a tire war going on in Formula V between Goodyear and Hoosier Rubber Company. Now, it's a split field, Brian, as to who's running on which. You'll have to see. The Hoosiers were the quickest in qualifying. I don't know if they will last, and it's much slipperier now than when they went qualifying.
We'll have to find out. Brad Stout on the Goodyears. He's your defending national champion in Formula V. Steve Oseth and Bob Neumeister, your entire front row on the Hoosier Rubber. So we'll have to see how that works out. Also, Steve Oseth, can't say it enough, has not been in a car in 3 months, and you wonder if he's lost a little bit of the racecraft. He's a very experienced driver, has a national championship to his credit from 2003, but time out of the seat is time away from experience, and experience is what wins you the national championships, and especially in a class as competitive as this. The field lined up, the green flag waves, we are racing, and you can see how damp it was offline. A good jump for Neumeister. Oseth, perhaps being out of the car for a while, does not get the jump. Neumeister to the lead.
Now the quick guys, the smart guys, will get single file really quickly and quit this side-by-side racing because drafting is important.
Neumeister in his blue Vortec chassis out in front. Steve Oseth in the number 72 red chassis behind him is slotted back into second, I believe, but Neumeister with a great run takes the lead, and look at this battling.
Good job, boys, getting through turn 1 and 2 anyway. Slippery racetrack, they're feeling their way around for the first lap.
And these cars run on race slicks. They may be very narrow, but they are racing compound slicks. It takes temperature to make them work. The 65, Michael Verrigan, has jumped up to second place. in his red Speed Sport, so a great start for him. He started back and forth, has moved to second. Oseth back to third.
And like I said, they got single file quick. This is the fast way to go in Formula V, is get nose to tail and run in a big draft and do your passing in the straightaway, not down into the corner.
And the draft continues throughout the corner. Oseth now under Verikens looking for a way by as they head into the bus stop for the first time, and all throughout the field, guys looking for the draft.
And you'll see these pushing each other, bump drafting as they do in NASCAR. They will come up and they will push the car in front of them to get more speed.
A lot of these cars, as you watch them stream into the bus stop side by side, a lot of these cars actually have a little rear bumper on them, a little piece of metal that goes back and has a post on it, a little rubbing post, if you will, to help the guy behind you. You don't want him to damage your transmission, so you'd rather have him rubbing on a piece of metal.
Right, and the shifter on these cars is right at the back of the transmission. One of the cars gets in trouble wide there, loses a lot of positions. The shifter's at the very back of the transmission. If it got hit, it would jam you into a gear. So they put that little bumper on there, if you will, and they use it.
Bob Newmeister in his blue Vortec leads onto the front straightaway for the first time. He will lead the first lap in the 2006 SCCA National Championship runoffs for Formula V. But we have a long way to go. One lap in the book, 17 to go down into turn one. Verikens to the inside.
Looks for a chance to take the lead away. Surprised that's happening this early. You'd like to gap yourself, maybe get 4 or 5 cars and open up a gap before you start these shenanigans.
Well, you saw Newmeister not really contest it for, I think, exactly that reason, Dorsey. All right, go ahead. Let's get back in line. Let's see if we can go.
Yeah, you want to get a 3-car pack or 4-car pack. You don't want to race with 15 people if you can help it.
Oseth, though, looking down to the inside. Interesting to see that so early on.
Brad Stout just a little bit off that draft in 5th place. Just needs, and stand by the leader. And he just dropped the wheel to the outside. Brian, he does a 360, will continue.
Michael Verikens spins. He had led, and that's that very fast turn 4, and you'd let the car track all the way to the left for turn 5. It looks like he just dropped the wheel, Dorsey, like you said, and immediately to the back. That will be hard to overcome.
Yeah, well, dropped the wheel, got it in the mud or in the grass, and it's been raining, like you said. We'll take a look here. Nothing wrong with the line off the corner, but watch right there. Just wide left rear wheel hits that mud, and around he goes.
And I counted at least 7 places that he lost before he could get back underway. So a costly mistake for Verikens. You don't make many mistakes in Formula V without paying a very heavy price.
Well, when you look at the car, look how skinny these little bitty old itsy bitsy tires are. They don't have a lot of grip, so it doesn't take much to get one loose.
It's Newmeister, then Steve Oseth in the red, number 72, and in the back of the picture there you saw sneaking up the purple. That is Brad Stout, the number 35, beginning to move forward. He started 6th. He's up to 3rd. 4 national championships for Stout, trying to tie Bill Noble with 5. He is on a charge.
He's a savvy racer. He does not have as fast a car as we've seen him in before, but he knows how to draft and he knows how to stick to it, and that's what we're going to see from him today.
Well, and the other thing, Dorsey, you mentioned it, Brad Stout on the Goodyears. These 2 cars right here on Hoosiers. Oseth down to the inside. I think Newmeister just lets him go. Newmeister will park back behind him, continuing to work on staying in the draft. Don't slow each other up by passing. I think that's the key.
That is the key. And you see when someone gets a run on you like that, and it's going to happen, you let it happen by lifting off the throttle a little bit so that he can get back in front of you before you turn for the next corner. So you keep the draft going.
Oseth, Stout, Grenier, Lowhead, Davis. That is your top 5. Davis on the move up in his number 8. He started 9th. He is up to 5th.
So he's set up in the draft right now. He's got a good run, runs to the inside. Both these drivers are aware of what's going on. He'll lift off the throttle. Watch now, tuck right back in behind him, get there as fast as possible. Oh, and a car has just spun.
Problem for the 15, Jeremy Grenier. Also racing in Formula Mazda. He had been running 3rd, so big mistake there.
Everybody around him does a good job not getting caught up in that. Those little puffs of smoke. He's on fire. He's got a fire on the right side of the car. That's an oil leak, I believe.
I think he has probably popped a motor, that oil leak, creating a problem there. And look at this drafting. Stout from 3rd in line was looking to the lead, but no, picks up 1 position. Stout up to 2nd.
That's what I was talking about. You know, of course, these guys running side by side, popping out on each other, gives Stout the big run from 3rd place. Cleaning off his visor there. I apparently got some of that mud.
As they come towards us to the bus stop, Bob Newmeister continues to lead. It's Steve Oseth, Brad Stout, Formula V, changing lap after lap, and we've just begun from Hartland Park.
Bill Noble is one of the few competitors here that's been around long enough to say that you actually drove when John Visignano was racing in the Midwest. Bill, it's great to see you. Listen, 35 straight runoff championship attempts, 5 championships under your belt. Congratulations on all of that.
Well, thank you very much, John. I really appreciate it. I appreciate running with you and all the good people that we've met and loved throughout this game.
I've got to ask you about this suit. Valvoline gave you this suit when you won the Pro Series a few years ago. It looks like it is definitely retired.
Well, it's looking pretty shabby. Maybe we're going to have to get everybody to sign it so I know who my friends are and hang it on the wall. It'll be there forever.
Well, he's hanging up the suit, but he's not hanging up the gloves, guys. He's going to slow down a little bit as far as number of races, but he'll be back next season.
Unfortunately, Bill Noble, he didn't make the grid. He's not competing right now, but Lisa Noble in number 7 is out there. Remember, she's looking for her best runoff finish. She qualified very well in 5th, slipped back a little bit at the start. She's back in 8th, but having a good run, and you know what? It's far from over right now.
Of course, the Nobles are from this state of Kansas, always have been, and that engine shop is worldwide known. If you were going to run Formula V, you talk to Bill Noble about horsepower.
Things kind of stretching out a bit up front. I think the top 3 have been able to hook up in the draft and pull away a little bit. You see several different chassis as the cars stream towards you coming in to the bus stop, and I think that's interesting. It's the same engine, and it's pretty simple suspension, but you can still do a lot with these cars. Back up front, Brad Stout has moved up to 2nd. Oseth back to 3rd. Neumeister leads.
And I said the smart ones would do this. They'll get in single file and they'll run with each other, get a 3 or 4 car pack, draw away from the rest of those guys, because it's a lot easier to do your strategy when you're working with 2 guys instead of working with 15.
Absolutely. Oseth all over the back of Stout, looking down into turn 1. Is he going to do it? Nope. I think he thinks better of it. Hey, let's just hook up in a line. Let's pull away a little bit. You know, we talk about the suspensions being relatively straightforward. Back in 1995, a guy named John Adams won the national championship in Formula V in an Adams chassis, and our very own commentator for the weekend, our buddy in the other booth down the way, Dan Binks, who we typically see as a crew chief for the number 3 CompuWare Corvette in American Le Mans Series competition, helped design that car. That is his brother-in-law, and Dan says, I've got another one on the drawing board, and I've got the best engine that's out there, but nobody's going to see him until my 13-year-old son is old enough to come to the runoffs, and he's hoping that that's in about 3 years. All right, let's head down to pit lane. Jim Trado with a special guest. Jim?
Very special guest indeed. Ray Irwin, you just climbed out of your race car, but you are a racer that really took this place and went way beyond. Congratulations on a wonderful job here at Heartland Park, Topeka. The owner-operator, a lot of people, a lot of heart, a lot of love have gone into this race weekend for the runoffs. Tell us what you've all done just in the last 12 months to prepare for the runoffs.
Literally in the last 12 months, we started in July, and we pulled all the asphalt out. All the black asphalt you see out here has all been replaced all the way to the dirt on both the road course, the drag strip, and many of the areas up in the paddocks up here. We're not quite finished up there, but we're almost done. The 2.5 mile road course, the 3/8 of a mile worth of sorry about that. I know you got to cut this so I can get away with that. 3/8 mile on the dirt track, drag strip, sorry. 3/8 mile on the drag strip been replaced, 23 acres in the south paddock, and the north paddock, about 16 acres have been replaced in asphalt. In addition to that, we put up 9 new buildings. Everything with the green roof out here is brand new. So we've been a little bit busy. We spent about $15.5 million in the last 12 months to get this done. We've still got another $7 to $10 million to finish out, but that'll take a little more time to get it all finished.
On behalf of the 500 plus volunteers here, the 700 plus competitors, and our speed crew, thanks, Mr. Irwin.
Well, thank you very much.
Guys.
Wow, $15 million. I don't have that.
No, me either.
And neither do these guys, but you don't need it to race in Formula V. Look at Steve Oseth pass Brad Stout. Good move down into 1, and this is not something typical of Formula V right now. Bob Neumeister beginning to pull away, then you have Oseth and Brad Stout behind him, but this is not a typical Formula V track. I talked to some of these guys, Dorsey, and they said on this racetrack, you actually slide these cars around a lot, and that typically is not something that you want to do in a Formula V.
This is trouble for Stout. He would have been better in the middle of that group than at the tail.
Well, Formula V continues. We'll see if the leaders can hook back up in a draft. Bob Neumeister continues to lead, looking for his first national championship. Welcome back to the 2006 SCCA National Championship runoffs from Heartland Park, Topeka, Kansas. Formula V action on the racetrack right now. Bob Neumeister continues to lead. trying to hunt down his first SCCA National Championship in Formula V. Neumeister was the pole sitter in '88. He wants the championship, but two former champions right here doing battle, Dorsey.
Yep, and of course Brad Stout at the tail end of that field really needs to stay in this tow. Now he's got to stay hooked up close enough to get some advantage off that draft. If you drop too far back, you're in jeopardy. And you see the lead car is right now pulled out. The two of the second place cars need to work together and push back up there.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. It seems like Oseth and Stout need to hook up, work together, and try to hunt down Neumeister. Otherwise, he is going to pull away. But these guys having a good battle as well. This is Formula V. It's exactly what it's always all about. Hooking up in the draft, seeing if you can move forward, leapfrog forward.
They only have a 1200cc Volkswagen engine, which came in the old original VW Beetle. They don't make a lot of horsepower. They don't weigh a lot. They've got the front suspension and front axle off that Volkswagen Beetle. So highly sophisticated, they are not.
So the yellow 63, Michael Verkota working. Also Gary Homyak in there, doing battle a little further back in the pack, but they're having a good time of it on their own. Once again, with a field this size, there's always somebody to race with. Right there, the number 10, Eddie Cadena, trying to hold off the 68 of Ed Warmer.
Won't work, though, because the 68 got the draft, and that's what this class is all about. I said it wouldn't work, and watch, he's going to make it work.
Warmer tries to go around the outside.
Now, you see those puffs of smoke every time they get down close to a corner. That is not an indication of a problem in this case. These engines are set up very, very loose to get the most horsepower out of what they have. And as a result of that, they do, in fact, burn a little oil.
Eddie Cadena trying to hold on, but the 65, Michael Verikens, remember, we saw him early on. He had led, but had his problems. This is the battle for fourth on back. This is classic Formula V. It's Verikens, Lowhead, Noble, Lisa Noble involved in that as well in the number 7. And then the 80 of Davis. Right now, you're looking at Michael Verikens in that red 65.
Now, if these guys can keep tidy like they are right now, they'll be quite quick as a big car train like that working with one another. Should be able to close up some of the deficit up to that third place.
Saw the red number 8 of Lowhead right there, and then the blue number 7 of Lisa Noble. Green number 80 is in there as well, Stephen Davis.
Look how nice. Now that's very good. Nice, tidy. Just keep everybody's wheels in line with everybody else. So the lead car breaks through the air. Everybody else has got clean air, and it pushes you up to higher speed.
Davis in that green number 80, a two-time Formula V national champion in 87 and 92. So he certainly knows how to get the job done. Trying to work right now with this train and see if they can hook up to the front.
It's fun to watch these cars with the little bitty old tires. They slide around a lot, but that's just the nature of the fact that they don't have any grip.
Like I said, these guys even drafting through the corners. Right now, Verikens holding point right now. He's in fourth. He'd love to be able to take this train up to the front and try to make amends for that.
Oh, and a crash right there.
Lisa Noble involved.
Lisa Noble actually caused that, unfortunately. Tried to get the inside run, but not enough, and T-boned.
That's Jeff Lowhead in the red number 8. He is back underway. Lisa Noble in the blue number 7 with the problem.
Cars are very strong. You don't see much damage to it, but we'll take a replay and keep an eye on the blue car in third place. Number 7, Lisa Noble, is going to make an attempt to the inside here, but it's way too early for the corner. And you see what happens? Just nowhere to go when she gets to the apex. He's got to turn in. Lowhead turns in. She spears him.
Left front to right rear, so nowhere alongside. Take a look from another angle.
Yeah, see, she was not enough alongside yet to make that pass stick.
And Davis in the green number 80 just barely slips through. So Stephen Davis, maybe he's thinking, hey, I'll see if I can follow this train to the front and perhaps get another national championship. Now another battle a little further back. Jim Kearney in the white number 77. This is the battle for 9th. That's 9th and 10th right now. Kearney sits in 9th.
Saw that big four-wheel slide off the corner. Now, that's what these cars do. That's not the driver's fault, nor is he doing anything wrong. It's just the car doesn't have any tire under it. And that's how they drive.
49 right behind him, Nelson Mason trying to take the position away. Kearney holding on to it right now. Kearney's best finish second in 91.
That's a perfect draft. You see, you couldn't even see the second car behind the first car. Tucked up, got a good run, slingshots by. Now, white car should tuck right back in behind. Yep, there we go. That didn't slow anybody up.
How much speed do these cars pick up in a draft? A couple miles an hour?
Well, I think it feels like 5 or 6 miles an hour. I mean, you really get a huge tow, and that's why you see the pass at the end of the straightaway almost every single lap. The car that's getting the tow, unless you lift off the throttle, you can just drive right by.
Well, Mason got by Kearney and is beginning to pull away. Meanwhile, Neumeister has the lead. Bob Neumeister, can he win his first national championship in Formula V? We'll find out. Formula V action from the 2006 SCCA National Championship runoffs. At the drop of the green, pole setter Steve Oseth drops back a little bit. Bob Neumeister in his blue, number 94, take over the lead, and everybody amazingly clean through the first corner. Then Michael Verikens in his red, number 65, drafts to the front, past Neumeister to take the lead. He wasn't going to hold it for very long, though. He has a problem.
Comes off the corner good, but too much speed, drops a wheel in the mud, round that goes.
And amazing that everybody missed him. Then Brad Stout gets in it, and so does Steve Oseth. Oseth trying to amend for his poor start, working his way back up towards the front, takes over second.
And here Lisa Noble too early trying to make a pass and spears Neumeister.
Actually, Jeff Lohead.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, Dorsey. A lot of Formula Vs out there and a lot of problems for Michael Verikens. He struggles as well, has another off-course excursion.
And we should say it's extremely cold here in Heartland Park. It's about 48 degrees right now by my standards. That's too cold for these tires to be really grippy.
Well, of course, the other problem is it is damp offline. Right now, Neumeister beginning to work through traffic.
Got a mirror.
His right side mirror is loose.
Yeah, and you need your mirrors for sure because of the drafting situation. He'll still be able to see the left, and that mirror's just turned upside down. He'll reach out there every once in a while, try to fix it. It won't fix, though. He doesn't have a wrench with him.
Well, he needs to adopt the old Italian race car driver deal of what is behind him is not a concern.
Well, he could take it off and throw it at the guy behind him. That's a
right now, he's got a huge lead in Formula V. It's 1.6 seconds, and that is big considering. But look at Brad Stout on the march. I think Stout and Oseth are beginning to play the game the way they need to. Stout in the purple, number 35, the red, 72 of Oseth, beginning to utilize the draft to hunt down Bob Neumeister. Biz, what do you have, bud?
Well, John Neumeister is the brother of our leader. He has over a second lead in Formula V. That is huge. But you don't look too comfortable out here.
No, I'm not comfortable because Brad Stout and Steve Oseth could start working together and catch up to him.
They're coming into some traffic
also. Two cars working together are better than one in Formula V.
And he's coming onto some traffic.
He's coming onto some traffic.
Well, John told us earlier that he started racing in 1986. It's been 20 years, guys. He hasn't had a championship yet. This is going to be, oh, don't let me put bad luck on him. It's going to be his year.
Well, the drafting that we have been talking about for second place is actually working. The two cars working together are running faster than the lead car, and they have caught him up, essentially.
Yeah, they've definitely caught him up. Stout, that last time by, was considerably faster, 1.7 seconds faster than Neumeister. So the draft really working to drag them up. And you see, right now, Brad Stout, Steve Oseth have really closed the gap to Bob Neumeister. I think that's a combination of draft and traffic, but Oseth needs to inch up a little closer to Stout and keep working together because they're not quite close enough yet.
Well, I'm sure Oseth and Stout are doing hand signals with one another saying, oh, stay in line, don't go by me here, you're going to kill us. You know, just stay behind me or let's run together, let's catch the leader back up so we're a three-car train again. He's getting away.
Stout with a little slide off the corner there. Once again, something you're not used to seeing in Formula V. Usually that destroys your momentum. But the tight turns here at Heartland Park. Oh, and a little slide for Oseth as he went through that moisture onto the front straightaway. You don't usually want to damage any of the momentum that you have in these cars. Meanwhile, Jim Kearney in the white 77 trying to work his way forward as well.
You see those slides, they don't look like much, but then you watch what happens when they go onto the straightaway, and you'll realize that that scrubbed off speed doesn't come back quickly. There's a hand signal, one of the hand signals to the pits.
Nelson Mason in that black number 49, right behind him, the yellow 04.
And they are going to tag team right on by. Look at that. Two-car draft goes right by.
You heard him say 2 cars is better than 1, and that's exactly what Mason and Dreisler are doing right now.
Trouble, actually, I think the red car is off the pace. He not only got drafted by, he's one of the lap cars, so he got off the car. He knew they were coming, he moved offline.
Mason up to 7th. in the 49, so he's working his way forward, and it's a problem for the 61, Matthew Gazowski, having issues of his own. But meanwhile, Bob Neumeister continues to hunt down his first national championship in Formula V. The SCCA National Championship Runoffs in Formula V. Bob Neumeister in search of the gold medal. It would be his first national championship in Formula V. He's had the pole before. Will he have the gold today?
Oseth is by Stout. I don't see Brad Stout. Oseth now in second place, and I don't see anybody drafting up the back of him.
And as they come across the line, Neumeister and Oseth register on timing and scoring. Stout does not. So I'll have to find out what happened to him.
Here's Stout in the pit lane. What a shame.
The day done for the four-time national championship winning driver in the class. Jim, what's going on?
He's talking to his father, Rod, right now. Brad Stout obviously dejected in search of a triple crown here in his record-setting or record-tying Runoffs run. Brad Stout now just climbing out, very frustrated. We'll find out in a moment, guys, and get back to him what the problem was that put him out.
You can tell these cars very small. Brad Stout is not a small man, so it's going to take him just a minute or two to get out of that car. Meanwhile, Bob Neumeister has lost one of the competitors, and that is good news for him. And maybe the better news is Steve Oseth has lost a drafting partner, so that is probably even better news for Bob Neumeister.
Yeah, Oseth now, without the aid of Stout, the two of them working together, doesn't have the speed to be able to run down Neumeister, I don't believe.
That is going to be an issue. Here's a battle for 14th. The 38, Tim Remmers, trying to hold on to the position, but the number 18 of Eugene Grimes right behind him. Another classic Formula V battle. Tried to use the draft. Even through the corners, these cars punch a pretty good hole in the air.
Well, they do, and that with those same engines and the same weight, they just don't have any advantage hardly at all against one another without using the air as a buffer zone to gain and lose ground.
And once again, you've got to be so smooth with the steering wheel. Anytime you turn the wheel, it scrubs the speed off. You don't have the horsepower to overcome it. So it's all about just holding that wheel in your hand so carefully, trying not to scrub speed. Right now, Grimes in the 18, that silver car behind the green 38 of Remmers, trying to use the draft to move forward. But it looks like he dropped back a little bit coming out of turn 6, so he may be dropping out of the draft, Dorsey.
I think he's still all right there. You see all these drivers now starting to wipe their visors from the muddy old course. It rained really good this morning. We've had several races already. And the mud that's on the course, of course, comes off these open wheel tires and splats right onto your helmet.
How far back does the draft begin to take effect? How far back can you feel it? Oh, a problem for
14
the 14.
This car off the road and might have made impact with the wall. You look at the driver's helmet. Look at all of the mud all over him. He's asking for a tow here. Oh, okay. I see what's going to happen. Kind of the same thing as Lisa
Seen
Noble.
that before. At least they didn't make contact,
No.
though. I think they missed.
No, they did miss, and it's because he realized there was going to be a crash, so he turned away to try to not make contact and, of course, spun the car. He's asking for a tow rope, someone to hook onto him and pull him up out of that ditch because he hadn't hurt the car.
Yeah, it looks like he's stuck right there. Meanwhile, another classic Formula V battle there. That's the 38 of Remmers again. And Grimes in that silver Formula V right behind, trying to get the draft, but he just doesn't have the ponies or the draft down into one to get it done. Formula V, it's about being smooth, using strategy, using the draft to move forward. Bob Neumeister has done just that in search of his first national championship.
'18-year-old Nelson Mason has come a long way to compete here at the SCCA Runoffs, and I'm telling you, it's been a trip from England last week to get here. Tell us about your studies currently abroad and how that's going to play out for your future in motorsports.
Yeah, for sure. It's great studying abroad. Motorsports is huge in the UK, and I'm going to get my bachelor's of engineering, taking motorsports engineering at Oxford Brookes University, and hoping to become an engineer, but also become a professional race car driver.
And with his run here at the Runoffs, if it happens to be a medal or perhaps a win, that could go a long way in furthering this young man's career.
Well, Nelson Mason running 6th right now, and I'd say he's a reasonably intelligent individual, Dorsey.
That is today's approach to how to become a race car driver. You go to engineering school. That's not exactly the way I did that, mind you.
No. I said he was a pretty intelligent individual.
Oh, he's doing a good job. Qualified 7th. He's up to 6th right now. He doesn't have a drafting buddy. That's hurting him.
I think it's interesting that a lot of universities now, though, are doing degrees in race engineering. We're starting to see that more and more, both overseas and here in the United States as well. And I can tell you what, there are a lot of people standing in line to get in those programs, and that's exactly what Nelson Mason has done, putting his education to good use right now. Anytime you can run in the top 10 in the runoffs in Formula V,
and
you're
a
doing
tow
a good
truck
job.
right there at the apex. I don't like that, the looks of that at all.
Mason around it cleanly. He's having a good run. Like I said, if you can run in the top 10, you're doing a good job. He's almost to the top 5.
You know, that's they covered that with a flag, but obviously that caught me out by surprise. I just looked up and here's this truck sitting there. It looks like Mason got caught out a little bit as well.
It kind of gets your attention. Obviously, you can tell a wrecker is considerably larger than Formula V.
Yeah, I don't even want to go there.
Mason continues on. He will try to hunt down Siebenaller, who's the next car in front of him, but he's about 3 seconds behind, and without a drafting partner, that's a long road to hoe.
And of course, it's not his fault that he's in this situation, but without a drafting partner, you just do not have the speed by yourself to run down a multiple car situation.
A couple of guys doing some drafting on their own. It's the number 88 of David Green in the orange Formula V right in front, and the 5, the yellow number 5 of Ron Whitson. The battle for 22nd.
If you're new to this class, and a lot of guys aren't new to this class, you don't know how to race yet. You don't know how to do these drafting maneuvers and so forth. That's why you see the old Nationals champion guys who've been here a long time. They're always at the front because they know how to play this game. It's not as easy just putting your foot down on the floor and holding it down. That doesn't get it done in this class.
Whitson and Green both driving the same type chassis, a protoform chassis, so you might as well just say those are identical cars right there. You certainly know it's an identical motor, so they're doing what they can do to move forward. The drafting's so important. You alluded to it, Dorsey. It's just like learning to draft on a super speedway. These Formula V drivers, they are masters of it right now. Neumeister, the master of the game. Battle for the Formula V National Championship continues from Heartland Park to Pica, and battles all around the racetrack. This is one that we've been watching for quite some time. Grimes trying to get the better of the 38 of Tim Remmers, but they run this way nose to tail, and I just don't think Grimes has the top speed.
Well, I don't know. It's either that, Brian, or we've got 3 laps to go. He's going to sit back for 2 more of those and then pop him on the last straightaway that he can, because that's the right thing to do. You're faster if you're the second car back.
Well, I think that's a good point. You've got to decide, when do I want to be in front and when do I want to follow. Leading in a Formula V race is not always the answer.
No, not on the last lap. It's the worst thing you want. And then, you know, if the 18 should pass right now, what will happen is it gives the 38 2 more laps to get back around again, using him as the draft.
Talk about the draft. Bob Neumeister out in front. Steve Oseth has lost his drafting partner in Brad Stout and has dropped some 3.5 seconds back. So without that drafting partner, that's hurting him. Eugene Grimes continues to try to find a way.
Of course, for these guys, since they're not going to catch who's in front of them, they're too far gone, and there's nobody behind them putting on pressure, so it's mano a mano. These 2 guys are just going to make it for that position, and they're going to make it right down to the last lap if they're smart. You know, the 18 will stay tucked up underneath the draft. The Grimes will stay there, and then on the last lap, somewhere on that backside, set that pass up.
These guys continuing this battle. They've done it lap after lap after lap, continuing to fight, and they don't care if it's not for the gold. They're having fun on their own.
Well, you see him look in the mirror. You know, you come off a corner, you look in the mirror. Is he any closer than he was last time? Is he making a move on me? No, he's not making a move on me net. You know, you get ready for the next corner, but you're always aware of what one another are doing. Oh, this is going to hurt. Now, the lap car in the way could break this momentum a little bit.
Well, that lap car is a very interesting lap car. You saw the green and purple of the number 13, Al Ollinger, as they stream past it. That battle we've been watching for lap after lap. Ollinger, pretty good story of his own. The 3rd car in line right there, that lime green number 13. Al is the oldest driver in the runoffs at 80 years old. How long can you keep racing? Well, ask Mr. Ollinger.
He's still going pretty good. You see, he's got presence of mind, saw those guys coming, didn't get in their way, moved aside.
That is awesome. He's run 9 races this year. He hasn't had any wins, but he's been in the top 5, so he knows how to still get it done and to still be doing it at 80 years old. I hope that I have that kind of drive and competitive spirit and that kind of physical fitness that you can do it.
You don't. You quit already, remember?
right now.
Now the leaders, whoa.
This is getting
And it's been,
ugliness.
oh, that's not good.
Roger Siebenoller had been running 5th. Got together right there with the 49 of Mason, and they had their problem. I don't know if they touched, but Siebenoller definitely loose through that complex of corners.
Don't think they touched. Got loose and correct. Now, too far to the outside. Luke gets in the wet area. No, I don't think they touched. He just jumped off the curb.
Mason in that burgundy 49, they were having a great battle. I think Mason had problems of his own.
Well, they both were out of control loose there for a while, and one got saved and one didn't.
They were both crashing. They just didn't know it yet. But Siebenoller ends up off course, and that drops him well back. He was up to the 5th position, and now will drop back, shown in 6th the last time by at the line. But, you know, for a lot of these guys, if you're not winning, it just doesn't count because they want to be up front. Siebenoller is a former national champion in class, and we may have a new national champion today in Bob Neumeister. 17 laps in the books. His dad on the cell phone making a call, I don't know to whom, but probably talking to somebody at home saying, we're about to get it done if we can last another 2.5 miles. 3.7 seconds at the line over Steve Oseth the last time by. Bob Neumeister looking for his first national championship.
Driving this car absolutely perfectly, even when he had the pressure from behind with Stout, you know, pressuring with the draft. This car has been on rails. No mistakes have been made.
And there's Neumeister coming into the top of the picture there. You saw the red car of Steve Oseth. Out of the draft, really nothing he can do. He's turning identical lap times to Neumeister. He just can't catch him without a drafting partner. Neumeister, perfect on the season. 7 races, 7 victories. It looks like it's about to be 8 for 8, with the most important one being today, Dorsey.
That's when you tell me to quit, isn't it?
Yeah, almost. But when you won one of these, I'm sure you want to come back for more. One more gear shift. Bob Neumeister down the front straightaway. His dad on the phone calling someone saying, we did it. We won the national championship. Bob Neumeister, huge celebration. Huge emotion inside that very, very small car. There will be a party in Topeka, Kansas tonight.
You hear him yelling in the phone, we won! We
Later.
Great stuff. This is what the SCCA National Championship is all about. You hear the emotion, the thrill of victory. Bob Neumeister takes the Formula V National Championship. His first. We'll come back for all the celebration. Formula V National Championship runoffs. Bob Neumeister takes his first championship. Steve Oseth claims second.
Good run there by Michael Berkins. Of course, he was off the racetrack twice, came back up to 3rd.
Good run for everyone in the top 5. For more of the celebration, John Bizignano.
Newbie, congratulations. 20 years of racing in your first championship. You look exhausted, but boy, do you look happy.
I'm not exhausted. I'm just so happy I can't stand it. Oh, man, this has been a long time coming. I thought I had the podium last year, and some circumstance got me out of that, but this will make up for it.
Your father knows he's 85. He's turning 85 years old. It's the first race he hasn't made, but he knows that you're a champion, man.
Yeah, this is the first runoffs he hasn't come to, and then I win. Oh, man, it's pretty emotional. Got to thank Hoosier Tires. That compound, it works excellent.
We gotta go, mate. Congratulations on a wonderful run. 20 years, first national championship.
And you heard him say his dad, 85 years old, the first runoff he misses, and Neumeister takes the championship. You heard the emotion in his voice.
And now you know who was on the phone, too.
Absolutely. Great battles all around. Lisa Noble going for her best finish. She had problems early on, but comes back 11th. That's not bad.
Take a look.
Cheryl Gilbert, she finishes 24th.
Good
Remember,
time.
maybe she took some advice from her championship-winning father. She improved. Brad Stout, disappointment for him.
And of course, poor Bill Noble at the 40th back there couldn't make the grid for some mechanical reason. That's a shame.
You look at the corner workers, all those volunteer corner workers that make the SCCA National Championships and all the national races happen. And you look at Bob Neumeister as he sits in his chassis. I still think he's having a hard time believing it.
He's in shock right now, I think. You know, you work so hard and you try so much, and then the emotion not having your father here and so forth, it's quite overcoming.
Well, it's been a great runoff. We've seen an 80-year-old competitor show you that he can still get it done. We show you Bob Neumeister, who's tried time after time, finally wins the national championship, his father will be so proud. And that is, after all, what the SCCA is all about. Good racing, good camaraderie, family, and great competition. Bob Neumeister, congratulations on your national championship. For John Bizignano, Jim Trado, Dorsey Schrader, I'm Brian Till. Thanks so much for joining us here at the Runoffs. We'll see you next time on Speed.